share at the same time. Okay, a quick recap. Today I will be using PPT, but always you can refer this Java T point. So what we have seen yesterday was a quick about what is Java and the history of Java. Again, there are other versions which I have not included here. The features of Java is what we have seen and how it is no different from C++. And the first program which we have written was our Hello World program. And then we have seen in Java also we will be having a compiler. That's the reason we will be having a Java C command. So say suppose if you write any code in simple.java file, and in the command prompt or in the terminal, you can execute it if you are having GRE to execute. Okay. Anyway, we were doing on IDE Eclipse. So for us, it was internally taking care. We need not to run the command as such, but yeah, we were clicking on the button run as. That was taking care of this compiler. So bytecode is generated and that is nothing but our class. And then how to set path is what we have seen. Okay, this was the big difference to remember. JDK, inside JDK, you will be having a Java runtime environment, and in JRE, you will be having a JVM. And in JVM, this rt.jar will be the main files, and you will be having set of libraries. Yesterday, I have shown you how many files, system files you will be getting there. And this is architecture of JVM, from the class loader to this memories. These are different kinds of memory, class area, heap, stack, PC register, native. We'll be more talking about heap and stack. Okay, then you are having execution engine, native method interfaces, and Java native libraries. So this native method interfaces also we will be working upon. Then we have seen the variables and data type. Uh, Typically three kinds of variable we were having: local inside a function method, instance variable was kind of related to your instant or the object, and static is at the class level variable. And then for data type also we have broadly divided into two category: primitive and non-primitive. So you can say this primitive are kind of already defined by Java. Non-primitive, apart from string and array, whatever user defined classes we are going to make, and the object of those classes can be the non-primitive. Okay, and then basically it will be of 8 types: boolean, char, byte, short, int, long, float, and double. And then we have seen the Unicode system, and then operators, and we did plenty of working examples on this operator. Okay, so that was in one of the slide. Let me pick up another one for you. So from here also most of the things we had completed. Just quickly, Java if else, switch, for loop, while loop, do while, break, continue, comment, and Java program. So okay, all these things you will be getting in Java T point. That is clear. So how Java if else works, how switch condition works, we have seen the program, how for loop work, label for loop is going to work, what will be the output, while loop is going to work, do while loop, how it is going to work. We have seen the examples, working examples, break, continue, and Java comments. There are three kinds of comments. Yesterday I was telling, this is a single line comment, this is multiple line comment, and this is something known as documentation or Java doc comment. Okay, and then few Java programs, like if you are doing first time, then you can know as an assignment can do Fibonacci, prime number, palindrome, factorial, Armstrong, bug build, short, selection short, and insertion short. All these examples is what you can try. So these two things is what we covered yesterday. And today we will be starting with the OOPS concept. So before jumping to OOPS concept, let me see if there are a few more programs which are left. So I believe yesterday we were in this program 12, C12. So let us finish this C13 to C20 or 24, like few programs from our looping. And then today we can start with the OOPS concept. Okay. So I believe we completed this one where the internal loop is going to break. Moving to next. Okay, I think we have completed this one also, the output. This is also completed, 14. Okay, Fibonacci series example. So with the help of your looping concept, you can create your own Fibonacci series. I believe all of you are aware of what is this series. In our agile, mainly for story pointings also, we used to have this 1, 2, 3 and 3, after 3, 5 and 3 plus 5, 8 and 5 and 3, that is 8 and 8 and 5, that is 13 and so on, it will work. Okay, so from this example, it is pretty clear what we are going to, means what we are doing here actually. So, okay, for you, let me explain this. Let us run this first. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Why it is coming in one single line? Because here I have not written print ln. If you write print ln, which means next line. If you are simply writing print, means it is going to print in the same line. So your n1 is 0, n2 is 1. So first time when you are printing 0 and 1, or it is printing 0 and 1, and this is nothing but space. And then again this in the double quotes you are seeing, this is a space after every number. So our story with 0 and 1 is done. And then in this particular loop, what we are saying is loop we want to start from 2, and we are going to increment I plus plus, means plus plus I. So the value will be 0 and 1. So n3 will become 1. So it is going to print 1. So 0, 1, and then you are getting here as 1. And the next time onwards, when the value is going to assign into this and your count is going to increase, it is going to become 1 plus 2, that is 1 plus 1, 2, then 2 plus 3, 5, and so on, up to whatever count you want to increase it. So since we have given count as 10, so we can see 10 numbers. So this is how the programming is. And okay, this is one more example using recursion. So when we say recursion, recursion means calling same function again and again. Okay, all these are maybe as a fresher, when you started giving your interviews, you might be getting these questions in your interview. Okay, write Fibonacci series by using recursive function. So this is also pretty simple. Stop me if you want me to explain, or I will be just moving forward. Keep this as your assignment, writing a Fibonacci series by recursion. Then you are having prime number, which is also very easy if the number is prime or not. And then after that, we are having palindrome, whether the number is palindrome or not. here we are using while. So now you can see the loopings, whatever we have learned is being used at different places. So say suppose if I am going to run this program, the output is palindrome because it is 454. So if I'm going to reverse it, still I'm going to get 454. Simple logic, if I want you to explain here, what we are doing is we are taking here three integers, that is r, sum, and temp. That is temporary. So we are assigning this into the temporary variable, and then we are checking whether this and means whatever is our input, whether that is greater than 0 or not. If it is greater than 0, then what you are going to do, you are going to get the remainder, and after getting the remainder, whatever will be the remainder, you are going to plus it so that it can move it into the unit place, and then you are going to divide it by 10. And this loop is going to repeat till you will get 1, 2, and 3. And if your temp is equal to sum, okay, the new number which you are going to assign it here. So what basically it will do, it is going to check 452 and the reverse of 452, whether both of them are equal. Again, the if else here we are using, then it will become palindrome or it's not going to be palindrome. So that was example of using while and if else condition. Factorial. Again, this is very simple program. I believe all of us are aware what is factorial. If I say factorial 5, which means 5 multiplied by 4 multiplied by 3 to 1 and all. So when I say fact equal to fact into 1 into I, so whatever value is there, always it will be storing the same. So first is 5, then 4, then 3, 2 and 1. So on you are going to get it. 19, 20. Okay, now this is factorial by using recursion, and this is example for the Armstrong number, and this one is example for bubble sort. So you must be aware of different kind of sorting: bubble sort, quick sort, merge sort, selection sort, and all. So it's pretty same which we used to do in C and C++. Is just the syntax which is different. So, and then this is for selection sort, and this one is for insertion sort. Okay, anyways, I will be giving all this program to you so that you can try it out by your own. Okay, let's start today with the OOPS concept. So, okay. So we are going to learn what is naming. So typically I will be taking maximum 10 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes at max on the slides, or 10 minutes, and then remaining time we will be doing programming. So I will be pretty fast covering this so that just it gets into your mind. Okay, because always you can go to Java T Point and refer all these things, and I can share this slides also with you. So in Java, we are having some terms, basically in the OOPS object-oriented programming. Every now and then we'll be talking about object, class. These two things are very important. And then on the top of class, once we understand the concept of class, we will be seeing what is inheritance, polymorphism, abstraction, and encapsulation. Okay. So as in real time, okay, let me ask in this way. Among all of you, can someone help me and want to define what is object in programming? Anyone? So in real life, we are having many objects. We see, oh, someone is there. Sure. Go ahead.
It's something to use the properties of the class or to call the properties of the class.
Oh, something to use the property of the class. Okay, but what is object? What I'm asking. Oh, yeah, obviously it can use property of the class, but can someone define what is object? Any other try what is object?
I would like to tell that, Sagar. So object is anything that we see in the real-time world. You can treat anything available in your home. Let's say the laptop is an object, jug, bottle.
Mm-hmm.
These everything that we see in the world can be named as an object. Okay, and Java provides us a facility to structure them in terms of class.
Okay. And then again, if we are going to extend your definition, so that object is going to possess all the properties of that class, you mean to say?
Yeah,
So
you
if
can
I'm,
say that.
yeah, so say suppose if I'm having a book object, so the typical feature of book will be having on each object, correct?
Yeah.
So when I say the coin is my object, so all properties of coin will be in that thing. Okay,
Yes.
pretty good. Then we will move forward. So naming convention, when we talk about, typically we will be using camel notation for, you are aware of camel notation. So this is known as camel notation. It will start with small, and then uh, for another name, it will be in the caps so that we can read it. So our method name, variable name, everything will be in the camel notation, but your class name is always going to start with the uppercase. So all this example of class, string, color, button, system, all these are classes. Same thing with your interface. Don't worry about interface. What is at this moment, we will see uh, uh, in some time. So runnable, remote, action listener, all these things are interface. So classes, interface, all with upper cases, and methods, variable, package, methods and variable in the camel notation. Your packages will be all small and your constant will be fully uppercase. Okay, so this is naming convention. And yeah, so already Vishal has defined object for us. He makes our life easy. So I'm moving forward. Yeah, let's talk about class. So who can explain what is class? Any try from anyone? New member? What is class? Fine. So collection of objects is known as class. That is in the layman term, which what we are going to understand. But altogether, it is nothing but our logical entity. It is not physical entity. So group of objects, we can say it as class, but you can have class without object also. Okay, and later, so first we are going to create a class, and it depends whether we are going to create object or not in programming. So if someone says group of object is class, then you will be finding, okay, where are my objects, and container of similar objects. Yes, Aman, but what I am saying is, say suppose if you are not having any object, still can you have a class? Okay, first time when we heard about class, when we were doing schooling, class 6, class 7, class 8 students. So is it possible in real school to have classes without students? Sorry?
No.
Okay. So then that will be kind of a dummy class, or
Yeah.
a class of no existence, because there is no students, no teacher, nothing. Okay. And here in programming language, always you will be having a class first and then object. Okay. If I say student, so in physical class also you need to have physically somewhere class, then the students are going to sit. So now we will be seeing how we are going to create classes first, because in Eclipse also you have seen, first I created simple class. We have not created object yet. Object creation also we will be seeing. And the syntax of classes, you will be having class and class name, and then you can see this parenthesis. Whatever is going to come in this two parentheses, everything will be a member of that class. So you will be having a fields, and then you will be having different methods. You can have different blocks or nested class interface. Everything is going to come inside your class. When I say fields, it will be, field is nothing but your variable and all. You will be having a methods and functions. You can have constructors. What is constructor? That we are going to see later. Blocks also we'll be seeing it. And one thing about variable is, a variable which is created inside class but outside method is known as instance variable. So yesterday we have seen three kinds of a variable. One was the instance variable. So, and if something is created inside a method, it will become local. So that was the reason this instance, wherever this word instance is coming, you can treat this instance as an object. We are talking about object whenever there is an instance. And the most important thing is this particular variable is not going to get memory at compile time. It is going to get memory at the runtime only. So there is a concept known as compile and run. So compile time and runtime. So that also will be seeing later. The moment we are going to execute this command as Java C, at that time it is going to do compilation. And then when we are going to execute command Java your class name, that time it is running. So that is known as runtime. Okay, and whatever we are going to create, all these things are known as instance variable. And let's see how we are going to create an object. So we are going to create object with the keyword that is known as new. We can create with one or two more types, but the most popular way of creating object in Java, or which you will be seeing, is a new. So when I say student S1 here, so now this student will become data type. When I was saying int x equal to 20, so my x is a variable which is kind of an integer. Okay, when int, so data type was integer or int. In the same fashion, when I say S1 student S1, which means this is of type student, means this instance variable is of type student class. Okay, and when I'm going to say new of student, and you can see here, this is a sign of a function. You are not passing anything. This is, you can say that it is going to call constructor. We will see constructor what it is later. But syntax wise, if you see, this is how we are going to create any object in Java. Okay, and more frequently we are going to use this statement. So student S1 equal to new student, and then the moment if I say SOP of S1 dot ID, and from here I can access the properties. Say suppose if I am going to instantiate this variable with 50, and the name of this student is Vishal, and when I'm going to print this, I'm going to get 50 and Vishal. Okay, if the value is there. So this new keyword is mainly used to allocate memory at the runtime. Okay, fine. So in the last slide, what we have seen, that instance variable will get memory only at the runtime. And when we are talking here new, again, we are talking about a runtime memory allocation. Because now in your project also, you might have faced performance issues, and then you would be having a different team for load and performance testing. So memory is going to play an important role in our programming. So every time we will be very conscious what to use and what not to. Okay, and all objects get memory in a heap memory. So in the JVM architecture, if you correlate there, you have seen something heap and stack. So from there you can correlate. There is a heap memory where all your objects are going to be stored. Well, and when I talk about classes and object, there are three ways where I can initialize any object. One is by reference variable, one is by method, and third is by constructor. How? So as I said, we are having two kinds of main memory, 4-5 types. One is stack, one is heap. So how the stack memory will be? So in real life, how the stack will be? So this is first in and last out. Whatever is going to be inserted first, S1, S2, S3, S4, S5. And when you are going to move out, S5 we need to pull out from this bucket or from this stack. So, and all the properties of this object is going to store here in the heap memory. So what from this example we can understand, if I am having a class known as student, and if I am having two instance variable for that or object for that, S1 and S2, can I have two different values? Yes. How? It is going to create this S1 here and the reference of S1 here, and you can see in the heap it is going to store value of S1 ID as 222 and sorry, S1 as 111 and the name as Karan. So the moment I will say 111 Karan, it is going to put it here. Second thing, for a second object also it is going to create here. If I'm having 10 objects, so the reference for the 10 objects are going to be saved in your heap memory. Fine. So this was just example. Assume there is a function known as insert record. It will do something and going to insert record. It may be calling your database, and your database it is going to insert record. And when you say display information, maybe from your database it is doing retrieve information, and then it is displaying with the system.print.ln SOP statement. So what is going to be there in this functions that we are going to see later, but typically this is how we are going to use our object. So when I am having object as S1 or S2, and when I say S1 dot insert record, which means this function should be available in the student class, and then only this object can access this function, or else it is going to give us error. The compiler will say, boss, I don't know where is this insert record. Write a program for yourself, write a method for yourself. Okay, now object creation we have seen. So first is by using new keyword. Second way of creating object is new instance. Okay, and when I say new instance, second way is creating by calling this new instance method. And whenever we are not going to assign anything in the left hand side, so in the previous slide, what you have seen, when I say new student, then it will be anonymous object. The concept of anonymous object we will be seeing later. Okay, and then third is by using the clone method. Fourth is by deserialization. Fifth is by factory method. So all these things, like when we are going to say, suppose learn Spring or something, we can use the factory method there. So, and the 5 popular methods are there. Apart from that, we are having many more, but typically you understand this 5. Majority of times you will be, I will say 70-80% of times, if you're not using any framework, then you will be, or just you are dealing with core Java, you may be end up using this new keyword only. And this is the example of anonymous object. You can see I'm having a class known as calculation, and inside my main function, what I'm doing, new calculation. So if it will be, say, suppose C1 object, then obviously I would be doing C1.fact. But now since it is anonymous object, I'm doing new of calculation.fact of 5. This is how we used to call anonymous object in Java. Okay, now very important concept. This is constructor, and whenever we are going to create object internally, it is going to call constructor. So what is constructor? It is special type of method. Again, it is a method only, but main purpose of this constructor will be to initialize object. And whenever your object is going to create, automatically your Java compiler is going to invoke constructor. Okay. And that is the reason why we say it as constructor. That means it is constructing something. What it is constructing? It is constructing your object. So example of constructor can be, there are 2 kind of constructor. One is default constructor and parameterized constructor. Default constructor, if say suppose you are not making, then for you, when compiler is going to compile and create your .class file, that time compiler itself can create a default constructor for you, because somewhere he need to create a object for you. And whenever we are saying new of bike, and you can see this is a sign of function, okay, without parameter, which means we are talking about some function. Anyway, it is bike 1 is class, but the moment we put this bracket, which means there is some function, and when we talk about this function will be your constructor, compiler knows. So here what we can do, public static void main is fine. When I say bike b1 be equal to new bike, and say suppose if I just call, if this statement is not written, means SOP bike is created is not written, and if you are going to run it, you are not going to get any output. But explicitly we have created this constructor with no argument. Now the moment I'm going to create any bike as bike b1, b2, b3, b4, if the 4 objects are created, 4 times this statement is going to execute, because when this statement is going to execute, your compiler is going to search whether we are having no argument constructor somewhere in our class. If not, it will create. If it is there, then it will go and find this method, and this method is found, it is going to print it. Okay. Constructor and methods in Java. This theory you can read it. But typical difference, if you see, a constructor is a type of method, but we never classified it as no method. We will say a method is different, where a method is mainly used to expose the behavior of an object. You are going to have some return type in method, but in constructor you are not going to have any return type. In the main method also, you have seen you are having a return type as void, and method is invoked explicitly, means you need to call b1.average or whatever function is. But this constructor is invoked implicitly, which means if you are not calling and the object is creator, your compiler is going to call. And Java compiler itself provide default constructor, and compiler is not going to provide method. Most important part is to identify how constructor look is. This is the most important property. Your constructor name should be same as the class name, and the method name may or may not be same as your class name. And if it becomes your class name, it will become constructor. Guys, if I am very slow in theory or something, please interrupt me and you can say, Sagar, okay, skip this slides, we can go. And then next is the static keyword. So we were running the program, our first program, hello world program, public static void main. And many times I have used static yesterday and today. So when I talk about static, any variable can be static, any method can be static, any block can be static, any nested class can be static. When I say block, don't get confused. Block means wherever you will be seeing those two curly braces, starting and ending, that is known as block. So any function itself is a block, your for loop is a block, and if there is nothing written, then also it is a block, if just two braces are there. This static keyword is very important in Java. Again, why? Because of memory, mainly used for memory. And we can apply this static keywords with all this four. Always one very important thing you need to understand is wherever static is written, oh my God, double click and thank you. So wherever the static was written is written, which means it is related with to the instance of class. Okay, at class level, statics means class. In your memory, you can map it like that. So for accessing any statics variable, you need not to create any object directly from the class name. You can access that object, or within a class also you can. That will be seen. So there are two main restrictions with the static methods. One is, and this is very important restriction, the static method cannot use non-static member or call non-static method directly. Getting this point? That is the reason if your public static void main is there and you want to call some other function and that is non-static, your compiler is not going to allow, it is going to give you error. Second is this and super cannot be used in static constant. So this and super again are two keywords which we will be using inside constructor. Need not to worry about that. But this two cannot be used with static context. Okay, so with this rule, we will be seeing some example. Slide is thank you. Let's jump to some programming. So all of you have seen yesterday. Okay, let me close all these classes, close all. And yesterday we had inside SRC default package and this many examples, and then PS Java, this many package. But yesterday I have created server application, J2EE application. Today I'm going to create one simple Java project. So right click on your, so okay, a quick overview of this Eclipse, how it looks is, whatever you will be seeing here, it is known as Project Explorer. Then you are having inside Eclipse, you can have preferences. With preferences, you can do lot many things. Okay, so you just click on all this and try to explore whatever is there. Best part is you are having help section. Go to help and go for help content, tips of the day, tips and tribes. If you're new to the Eclipse, try to explore this. Okay, what I will do, right click new, now project. Which kind of project? Application, connection, dynamic, EJB, enterprise, static web project, fragment, others. I don't need anything from this. So I will just click on project. And here you can see Java project, a simple Java project we will create. So now Java project, next. And I can give the name as Day2 Java is my project name. And it is saying to use which environment. I am having JDK 1.8, and along with that, I believe 9 and 10 is also installed. So JDK 1.8 is the default is what we are going to use. I will do here next. And yesterday you have seen there are so many other folders also created, but this is simple Java project. It is saying, boss, I will just create one SRC folder to you. So what we are saying, okay, create it. So finish. Default output folder is this day2 Java bin. Means everything is going to be in your bin, all your classes are going to be stored. So I will say finish. And now it is saying when you are going to create this, it is going to open Java perspective. Do you want to open this? I can say, okay, open. So this is our day2 created. SRC is there, and you can see JRE, Java runtime libraries are there. And yesterday also we have seen there are so many jars inside this, and under each jar you will be getting so many files. So these are system generated or system libraries. Okay, let me import a few things for you. New, okay, inside SRC, let's create new package. com.ps.java, and inside this package let me import I said import file system. Next, okay, you can import any project also if you are having any project up and running. I want to import file system. Where are we? Training material day 1, day 2 completed. Let's go for day 3. I don't want this. Okay, let me first select all and then deselect PPT. This PPT also. Finish. Let me expand. Oh my God, we are having error in everything. Why? Because of this package. I created package, now it is not getting path. If I place over, it is saying declaration package does not match with com.ps.java. Got it? What is the issue? Why everything is red here? Okay, we'll go without package, or on every function what I need to do is I need to click it here, add package. If I do add package, automatically it will add package for me, com.ps.java. So okay, let's do it for all the programs whenever we'll run. So at least now we learned today, we can create package also. Fine, so this is our first program. So many errors here you will be seeing, ignore all those. And okay, now what is going to, if I am not assigning anything here, you can see, if I am not going to assign anything to int, sorry, can someone give me the output on chat? What will be the output of this? So if you are not going to assign any value, compiler is going to assign diff. Okay. Okay, so what I was saying, say suppose hello world, this particular project I don't want, you can right click on this and you can close it. Close project. So now let me run this class. Selection cannot be launched and there are no recent launches. Run as, and I need to define run configuration for this Java application. And run. And it is saying the project contains error. We know it contains error. exception is in main thread, unresolved compilation problem does not match with com.ps.java. So what I will do, instead of fighting with this error, we'll be doing it later. Let me delete this. Let us have that in the default package itself. Let me re-import it once again. File system, next, because that's going to kill our time. Every time we need to add the package and resolve those errors. So fresh, I am re-importing my Java classes, which are without package. Okay. At least now few classes are there without error. So let us see this C01. Now we don't have any error here. Right click, run as, run configuration, and that student one, run proceed. Could not find or load main class com.ps.java student. Okay, still it is referring to the old package.
Actually, Sagar, you are trying to make an object of test student class, and I think that is having errors, I guess, or maybe the class itself is not present here.
No, if you see here, it is still referring to the old package. We don't have com.ps.java anywhere now. Correct?
Yeah.
And
Oh, you have made two classes in the same. Okay.
let me have new run configuration and see once. Okay. Fine. So your factorial is working. Let me try to rerun this. Okay, so when you guys also will be facing sometimes this problem where you need to set the run configuration for your application. So double click every time it is going to create one. So you can see this is the saved one whenever you are creating run configuration. And when you click on this green button, it will try to search in your ID if there is any uh, run configuration already created. I'm going to refer that. So now this is the output of this class, which I was expecting. So when you have not instantiated this particular value, what compiler is going to do is s1.id. The moment you say s1.id, if the value is not 3, 4, 5 or something, compiler is going to allocate default value on the basis of data type. So what is data type of this ID? That is int. So 0 will be saved to s1.id in your heap memory. And when you say s1.name, so for this s1 object of the student class, and name is a string, so the default value of string is null. So when I'm going to run this program, output I'm going to get as 0 and null. Okay, so this is what I wanted to explain here. Let's jump to another program, that is student one. And in the student one, again, it's the same, copy paste. I don't see any difference. So this, let's move to third program. Okay, so already I'm having student class created somewhere, and that's why it might be giving me error. Let's see what this suggests. The type student is already there. What we can do is, so let's make this class as student one. Save. Now, when I made it student one, here also I need to make it as student one, or else if I'm going to create this object, somewhere in my package, it will search for the student class and going to create object of that. So here also what I will do, I will make it as student one. And then this is new of student one. Okay, let me. Okay. Now, what we are trying to do here is we want to instantiate object and initialization of reference. So earlier in the previous example, we were just printing out s1.id and s1.name. But here I want to assign some value to the id and name. So when my object s1 is created, now I am saying s1.id is 101, s1.name is Sonu. And when you are going to print this, who can tell me the output of this program? And yeah, anyone, if you are not understanding or simple syntax also somewhere, don't be shy and ask me. वो शर्म वरम सब छोड़ देनी है जब हम सीख रहे हैं तो. Okay. So what's going to be the output of this? I'm waiting for chat. Okay. Okay, 101 Sonu, Chaitra, Anusha, Venkatesh, Nitin. Oh, superb. So let me run and see. Run as Java application. Error is fine. 101 and Sonu. Correct? Pretty simple. Let's move to another program. Okay. Now, in this example, we can create multiple objects. Again, student class is already there. When student class is already there, again, it is going to refer student only. What I can do, I can comment it out also. If I comment it out, still in my package, it will found student class somewhere. Okay, but for your sake, if you want me to change it, I can say do student 3. So when I'm doing this student 3, everywhere student 3, student 3, this also should be student 3, and this should be student 3. Okay, what is the difference here? This is one class and this is one class. Can I have two classes in one Java file? Yes, we are seeing this. Okay. Can this class be outside Java file? Yes, we can see other classes in the same package. You can have a class and you can refer it. So need not to create this student class every time, because already it has been created. Just for example's sake, I'm creating here student 3, student 4, but that's not going to make any difference. But there are two members in my student class. One is the roll number, or which is ID, or the employee ID, or the student ID, and the name. Now here two objects we are creating, S1 and S2. And in the S1 object, we are putting value as 101 Sonu, S2 object 102 and Amit. And if I'm going to run it, I believe someone has given me answer already. No, what will be the answer? I mean output. Sonu Amit 2. Sorry guys, I'm saying every time answers. Okay, let us run and see. Proceed. 101 Sonu, 102 Amit. Okay, let's move to another program. Okay, this we have to, because here inside student, we have added one more function whose return type is void, means it is not returning anything. So let us make this as student 5. So I'm having a class with the student 5, and now this class is having one member as integer, one member as roll number, another member as name, two variables, and then third function and fourth function. So there are total 4 members inside this class. Now let's see. You know why this error is coming? Because this S1 is a student object, and this student class, if I'm using MacBook, so command, and if I put like this, it is taking me to this student class, our first class in this first example. And in this student class, there is no function with the name insert record or display information. That's why you are getting this error. So if I'm going to make this student as student 5, we are going to get rid of this error. So 5 here, 5 here, 5 here, and 5 here. Okay, now let's see what's going to happen. So instance 1, instance 2 is created, S1 and S2, two object got created, and in the S1, with the help of S1 object, I'm going to call this function insert record, and then I'm going to pass two parameters. My first parameter is integer, second parameter is string. When the compiler is going to compile and run this program, the control will go and it is going to go inside the student 5 class, going to search, do I have any function with the name insert record? We'll say yes, insert record is there. And what you are inserting? Insert record roll number is R and name is N, which means whatever roll number you are going to pass it here, 111 is going to assign here, and string name, what you are going to pass here, Karan. So Karan is going to be assigned here. And then in the similar fashion, S2 dot record 2. And when I'm going to call this S1 dot display information, it will go here and void display information system out println roll number plus name it is going to print. So what will be the output of this function, this program? Please put on comment 111 current 100 and 222 and RN. Why this happened is because you can see this variable is defined at the class level, or you can say as it's kind of a global variable. That is reason this roll number you can access it here. But if I am going to print R and N, I cannot, because R and N is inside this function. Okay, but roll number and name is already defined outside this function at the class level. But if I say, suppose try to do int here, if I do int roll number equal to R and going to run this, let's see what's going to happen. 0 0. Can someone explain me why 0 0? Anyone? Give it a try. Why it is 0 0 the moment I say here int roll number is 0, roll number is R? Okay, because now this particular roll number is local variable, and this roll number never got value assigned to itself. Okay, because this is inside this, and whenever you do some kind of error or warning, your Eclipse says, you can see the value of this local variable is not used. Why not used? Because if I'm going to write this statement inside this function, then I'm going to use roll number, because when I'm printing it outside that function, this roll number is taking value of this variable which is outside this function. Okay, that is very simple concept which I just wanted to share with you. By any chance, if you don't understand, please stop me. I can repeat. Now we'll move to next program. Here we are inserting now integer, string and float, and we want to display ID, name and salary. This time for the employee class, we are having three objects, E1, E2, E3. And for this three employees, we want to insert three functions. That is, guys, excuse me for a minute. So my hotfix is also going on. It looks like we cannot make it today. Okay, I'm back. So what is going to happen? Insert function is there, which is accepting 1, 2, 3 parameter. One is of type int, another is of type string, and third is of type float. If I am going to pass this, it is going to accept. What is going to happen if I do 100.09? See, it is giving error. Why it is giving error? A big error. Code recommendation also. Because here it is int. I cannot pass float. I cannot pass decimal. But what if I do 0.25 here? Oh, still error. The method insert float not applicable, argument double. This is taking it as double. Cast argument 0 to float. Okay, so casting and all we will be seeing later. Time being, let it be like this only. So upcasting, downcasting is a concept in Java that we'll be seeing later. Fine. So what is going to happen now? If I execute E1 insert, so for E1 it is going to save 101 Ajit and 45,000 for ID, name and salary. Likewise, it will do for E2 and E3, and the values corresponding to all these three will be saved in your heap. And when you are going to call display function, it is going to call this display function, and the corresponding value of ID for E1 will be 101. That is the reason it is going to display like this. So I believe the output is pretty simple for this, and all of you are assuming that is right. We are going to get same output, 101 Ajit, and this, and because it was float, that is why you can see 0.0, 0.0, 0.0 coming here. Your compiler is changing it. I have not added 0.0. Okay, moving to next program. This is by anonymous object. We have already seen the example of this, and this is the factorial program. And if I'm going to call this, obviously in the calculation class, it is going to search for fact function, and you can run it. I just have to call from main and don't want to do any operation further on this. That is why in this example, we have used it as anonymous object. Oh, nice. Factorial is 120. Okay, let me close other classes or close all, or close other anything. Moving to next, test rectangle. Okay, in this example also we are creating two objects, that is R1, R2. Rectangle is having length and width, and we want to calculate area. Area calculation is length and width, and we don't want to assign it anywhere. Directly you can throw it in your output. So again, this is straightforward. But here the difference is, as I can say integer, like can I do something like this? Int x comma y equal to 20 or 12. Can I do like this? So the value of x is not initialized, the value of y is initialized. Or can I do like this? Int a comma b comma c. If I do so, so the data type of all this ABC variable will be int. So in this example, what we have seen, rectangle R1 equal to new rectangle. This is one object which is created. A type is rectangle, that is user defined type. And the line is not ended. In the same single line, what I am saying, R2 equal to new of rectangle. So I can do this the similar way. What we used to do with primitive data type, we can do the same with user defined data type or the class. And this is also the way of creating reference variable or instances. We call objects sometimes as reference variable because this is referring to this class. And again, this is a variable, as this length and width is a variable. So this R1 is also known as instance variable or reference variable. Okay, fine. So it's pretty simple, and I know the output will be what we are expecting. 11 multiplied by 5, that is 55, and 3 multiplied by 15, that is 45. Okay, we have not written any message. It's just number that's it's printing here. Moving to next program, account. Oh, bank, relatively big. So now banking software we are developing here. Who wants money in the bank? Just send me your account number. Okay, let's see. So we are having account class, which is having your account number, your name, your balance. So 3 field. And then if you want to insert, what you can insert, your account number, your name, and amount. If you want to deposit, what you are depositing, amount equal to amount plus amount, means your initial amount or your current balance equal to the balance which you are adding, that is amount deposited, which will come in this function. Withdraw, if you want to withdraw, we have written another function. You can withdraw when this amount, what is this amount? This amount is in your current balance. When this amount is is greater than the amount which you want to withdraw. So suppose in my account, if it is 20,000, this amount should be 19,000 or 19.5 thousand. It cannot be 22,000. If it is there, then the condition will come as insufficient balance. Else, what it will do, from your main balance, remove the balance which you want to do, and then print that much amount is being withdrawn. And then you are having two more function. One is check balance and there is display balance. So these two are functions. Don't get confused with this braces. So this braces starting here and closing here. And now this is our main class. So what is known as main class? A class in which main function is written is known as main class. So from this main class, I have created an object known as A1 for account. And now I want to do all operation. First, this is account number. The accountee name is Ankit and 1,000 rupees is his balance. Or say suppose he opened his account with 1,000 rupees. If you are going to display this, our function is going to display 1,000. If you want to check balance, if you display it, it will display the information of employee. Where is display? Yeah. Account number, name and amount. So this is going to call this function and going to display this. Check balance is going to call this function. Balance is amount because this is your current amount. And then you are going to deposit 40,000. So after depositing 40,000, 41,000 should come. After withdrawing 15,000, whatever remaining is, it should come. I'm going to execute this program. Okay, as explained, we are getting the output. But always when, like as a beginner, when you are starting program, don't read like this. We used to read book like this. Okay, I have read this Java class as I was reading book, but no. When as a programmer, we want to read it first. Okay, see where is main class? This is main class. Where is main function? Main function. What is going to be my first line, which is going to be executed? This is first line, which is going to execute it. Class, public, and this is third line. A1 equal to new of account. Now see whether this constructor is already created in account class or not. So click on this class. Okay, there is no constructor created, which means that's fine. Here, no constructor, no constructor, no constructor, which means default constructor compiler is going to call. Then it is going to come to this insert function. So my line number 5 will be this insert. Click on insert. Line number 6 is this, line number 7 is this, line number 8 is this, and whatever I have inserted, it will come. Again, the control will jump back from here to here. This will be my line number 9 of execution, display. Okay, click it. Okay, display. Then this will be line number 10. Once this is been executed, this the job of this function is done. Again, the control will come back here. This is how control goes in normal program, and that we can see in debugging. Oh, I haven't shown you debugging ever. Okay, that we will see later, how we can debug. Okay, let me move to another function class. Now here it is display student 3, S1, S3. This student 3 is different class that is not having display function, you know. This student 3, if I click, it is just having ID and name. So same thing we have to do. C10. Save it. ID name. I think we have seen this program earlier. Yeah, interesting. What is going to be the output of this once again? Put it in comment box, chat box. Zero null, zero null, zero and null. Zero null. How many times zero null? Single time, double time, or something else? Let us check. 2 times 0 null, because when you call S1 display one time, and when you call S2 display another time. Okay, I think we are clear. Move to the next program. Okay, again, I need to change this thing. Okay. Yes, and this is the example of constructor. This example. How come? Let me resolve the error. Type student 4, student 4, student 4, and now this. Now let's understand this. This is something new. Now, when we are going to execute this program, S1, S2, and display, in the previous one, you got different result. You got 0 null, 0 null. Now, this time, when you are going to call this, what you are going to do here exactly is, earlier we have seen in these examples, say suppose this example, whenever I was creating student, there was no argument which I was passing. See, here also no argument, here also no argument on this employee, which means it was creating object with default constructor. Now here what I am doing is, here I want to create object as S1 and S2, where at the time of creation of object itself, I am passing the value. Where I am passing the value, the value has been passed in the constructor. So the moment this line is going to execute, your compiler is going to search whether this class student 4 is having some constructor with 2 arguments, and the type of those arguments also should match int and string. Instead of int and string, say suppose if I say long here, it is giving error because there is no constructor. Okay, still 2 values, but type is different. Okay, so now when you're going to create this object, at the time of creation of object itself, this ID is at your class level. So for s1.id will become 111, s1.name will become Karan, and it is going to print that. Okay, got it? Let me run this program. Oh, we are having last 7 minutes. 111 Karan and 2022 Aryan. Okay, at least let us finish this many programs today. Now this is example of constructor overloading. From C, C++ background, who wants to share what is constructor overloading or method overloading? Can someone explain among you? Apart from Vishal, Vishal will be last. Oh, he's not here.
Same constructor name, but different parameters.
Okay. And why we say it as overloading?
Because
Yes, by the name overloading. Whatever you said is fine, but why we say it as overloading?
I'm not sure about that.
Okay, dictionary meaning of loading is load
You're
something.
just putting data. Yes.
Okay, overloading you would have seen. Okay, truck is overloaded, crash.
Okay. Yeah.
Now here in programming terms, what is overloading? Okay, same constructor is there.
Yes.
And as you were saying, with different
Parameters.
With different parameters. Now one was already default constructor. Now with 2 parameter 3, means I'm overloading it. Already it was loaded.
Yeah.
Okay, it is loaded with 2 parameters. Now
Two
I want to load it with 3 parameter or 4 parameter, or maybe 2 parameters but different data type. Okay, that can also work. So let's see this example. Now this student class is having ID, name and age, and we are creating 2 constructor. One is ID and name, and second constructor is containing ID, name and age, and it's going to print this thing. Now when we are going to create S1, for S1 ID and name will be current, age हमको पता नहीं. So what your compiler will do, if you don't know age, compiler will put some age. 0 साल का बना देगा
0.
उसे. Okay, student with 0 age. Wow. And then when you will be having S2 with all the values, it is going to create
And
the same. Okay, let us run this quickly. Okay, so 0. We have not added 0. Compiler has added this as 0 because somewhere the moment you create object S1 for this class, whatever members are there in this class, your compiler has to instantiate that, has to put some value. If you are not putting, he will put for you. Okay, we'll move to another program. Twice, Nitin. Okay. Let's move to this one. We are going to copy the values of one object into another using Java constructor. Okay. That's interesting. So in this class, S1 object got created. How you are creating S2 object? By passing the S1 object. Can you see here? By passing the S1 object. But in order to pass S1 object, you need to have a compatible constructor. So if I am creating object S1, do I have a constructor with 2 variable int and string? Let us see. Yes, I'm having int and string. If I am creating an object with a constructor which is accepting one value and the type of that value is class itself, do we have? Yes, we are having. Let us remove these errors. Okay, now why S1 is okay because of this. Okay, all clear? Error resolved. What's going to be output? Can you chat? Output.
same thing getting printed twice. 111 column.
Okay, cool. So simple. We'll move to another program that is copying value without constructor. Yeah. This is different. This is little different. Let me resolve this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 places I have to copy. So Control F, replace with this. What I want to replace? I want to replace this thing. Student 7. Everywhere, replace all. No? Didn't like? Oh my God, it replaced here also. One C14 I will remove from here. Now it's better. So I replaced student 7 with C14 student 7. So here also it got replaced. So instead of doing that manually, Command F or Control F, replace all. That is what you can use in Eclipse or any IDE for that sake. So here what we are doing, we have created an object S1, we created an object S2. S1 we created with two parameters, which means by using this constructor. S2 we created with default constructor, or your default constructor is also like this, and this will add some super or this statement inside that we will be seeing later. Now what we are doing here is S2.id is S1.id, means whatever is there in S1.id. When S1 got created, we know S1.id is what? 111. And what is S1.name? That is current. So you can do like this also. S2.id is nothing but whatever reference you have been stored in the previous object, that, and S2.name is also this. And two times when you are going to call display, one from S1, one from S2. What output you are going to get? I believe the same output. Okay, I am not running it, saving the time. It's already 5:01. Let me extend for 5 more minutes if all of you say yes, and we can finish this 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, but it will be pretty fast. Program of static variable. For static variable, now you can remember whenever I say static, it is at class level. Okay, now see, I created S1, S2 with the constructor, this constructor. Okay, and S1 and S2 got, we are displaying. And I'm saying static string college is ITS. If I'm going to run this, so it was static string at your class level. Whenever I am running it, it is not something like S1. So I'm having S1 dot roll number is 111. S1 dot name is current, but it is not S1 dot college is ITS. Okay, remember this. Your S1 has nothing to do with the static. Your S2 has nothing to do with static. Your static is at class level. So always it will be ITS for whatever student you want to write. And it's good concept in terms of, in the schooling software itself. Just imagine different student can have different roll number, name, and other parameters, but their college is one. So why I should define different college for different students? Yeah, but if it is kind of an inter-college competition, then I may not have this as static. But when I am talking about same school, same district, same college, every time I am going to define it as static, because this will be same for all students. Okay, you are now getting the implementation where we are going to use static in real world programming. Okay, I believe we are running late. So this 4 program we will be seeing in our next session next week, whenever I